At the present, where the world is fighting against the coronavirus, two friendly neighboring countries are debating over a piece of land. Yes, friends, we are talking about the disputed area of Lipulekh, Kalapani, and Limpiyadhura. The debate reached its summit when India opened the path through the Lipulekh Pass, and in return, Nepal published the official map for the first time, which included all the regions along with Kalapani, Lipulekh, and Limpiyadhura. Before this, Nepal had been using maps referred from the Indian maps issued after 1975 without any field surveys of its own. In our today's video, we will put some light on the background of the region and the reasons for this dispute. Let's begin with the introduction of the disputed regions. Lipulekh, which is at an elevation of 5,200 meters, is a Himalayan pass near the trijunction of Nepal, India, and China. It is marked by the Kalapani River, which is one of the headwaters of the Kali River in the Himalayas. Lipulekh Pass is near the Chinese trading town of Taklakot in Tibet and has been used since ancient times by traders, mendicants, and pilgrims to Kailash and Manasarovar. Falling near the trijunction of Nepal, China, and India, although China has never claimed any ownership of this area has remained one of the border disputed areas between Nepal and India, and once in a while kindles a flame of dispute between the two nations. The Nepalese claim that the regions up to Limpiyadhura belong to them, which are based on the 1816 Sugauli Treaty between the British East India Company and Nepal. According to Nepal's claims, it lies in Darchula district of Sudurpashchim Pradesh. As everybody has a common consensus on the Kali River being the western Indo-Nepal border, there are confusions over the location and the origins of the river. According to the Nepalese experts, the Kali River originates from Limpiyadhura, which is about 30 kilometers west of Kalapani. The political map issued by India on April 24, 1856, confirming to the Sugauli Treaty, regards Limpiyadhura as the river's origin. There are three villages there, namely Kuti, Nabi, and Gunji, which are inhabited by Nepali nationals. However, both of the countries lay claim to these villages. Vaidadi district of Nepal has official documentations of the land revenues that have been collected by the Nepal government from the villages until the 1940s. However, India claims these regions to be a part of Uttarakhand. On the contrary, official sources in India claim that the UP state in India has official documentations of the revenues and administrations as per which Kalapani areas have been traditionally governed by Pithograha district. India has been subjected to allegations of encroaching 385 square kilometers of land by shifting the border. A joint technical committee of Indian and Nepalese officials have been discussing this issue since 1998 along with other border issues, but the matter was not solved. Now let's reveal the main cause and historical background of this dispute. In early 19th century, following the unification of Nepal under Prithvi Narayan Shah, Nepal attempted to enlarge its domains. This brought them in conflict with the British, which controlled directly or indirectly the North Indian plains between Delhi and Kolkata. This resulted in a series of campaigns termed as the Anglo-Nepalese War, which occurred between 1814 to 1816. We have prepared another video on the Anglo-Nepalese War, so if you are interested about it, you can check in the descriptions below. After the Anglo-Nepalese War, a treaty of peace and friendship was signed between the government of Nepal and the East India Company, which is popularly known as the Treaty of Sugauli. In Article number 5 of the Sugauli Treaty, it clearly states as the King of Nepal renounces for himself, his heirs and successors all claims to the connection with the countries lying to the west of the river Kali and engages never to have any concern with those countries or the inhabitants thereof. Even though the article is widely interpreted today to mean that the Kali River forms the boundary of Nepal, it was not so at that time. The British retained control of the entire region, both to the east and west of the Kali River, stating that it had been traditionally part of Kumaon. In 1817, the Nepalese made a representation to the British, claiming that they were entitled to the areas to the east of Kali. After consideration, the British Governor-General in Council accepted the demand. The border of Nepal was extended up to the region which is now called as Limpiyadhura, with Kalapani and Lipulekh region lying in Nepal. The political map issued by India on April 24, 1856 confirming to the Sugauli Treaty regards Limpiyadhura as the river's origin 30 kilometers west of the Kalapani. But sometime around 1865, the British began to use Kalapani to the watershed of the Kali River instead of the river itself, the area now called the Kalapani Territory without any treaty. Scholars Mangal Siddhi Manandar and Hridayalal Koirala note that the shifting of the border was motivated by strategic reasons. The inclusion of the highest point in the region, Mount Api, provides an unhindered view of the Tibetan plateau. For Manandar and Koirala, this represents an unauthorized, unilateral move on the part of the British. Around the same time that the British claimed the Kalapani territory, they had also ceded to Nepalese control the western Tarai regions including Janakpur and Kapilvastu. At the same time, the British didn't take permission of Nepal to use the Kalapani area. In 1947, India acquired independence from the British rule and became a republic, and India and Nepal entered into a treaty of peace and friendship in 1950, which had a strong element of mutual security alliance mirroring the earlier treaties with British East India Company. India continued to show the Kalapani territory as the part of India using the maps before Sugauli Treaty of 1856. Following the Chinese takeover of Tibet in 1951, India increased its security presence along the northern border to inhibit possibilities of encroachment and infiltration. India requested Nepal to help in policing its northern border as early as 1950, and 75 posts are said to have been established jointly by the two countries, 17 in Nepal and remaining in India. At the time, King Tribhuvan was the king of Nepal, and he had taken help of India to gain his power in Nepal by overthrowing the Ranas of Nepal. Prime Minister Matrika Prasad Koirala also supported him at that time. They supported India. In 1954, trade agreement between India and China mentioned Lipulekh as one of the passes that could be used by Indo-Tibetan trade and pilgrimage traffic. Nepal was not mentioned in the agreement. A state police post was established at Kalapani in 1956, which remained in place till 1979 when it was replaced by the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. In 1961, prior to India-China War, according to Nepali land surveyors, Nepal had done a population survey in Kalapani and India had no say in it then. The late Nepalese King Mahendra had handed over the territory to India in 1962 in the wake of the India-China War. While Kritinidhi Bisto was the Prime Minister of Nepal, after much diplomatic sparring during which India threatened to close the border, an agreement was reached in September 1969 to withdraw the checkposts by August 1970. All the checkposts except the Kalapani camp was removed. The Indian side claimed that the stream from within Kalapani camp originates from a man-made pond and that the channel connecting it to the river from Lipulekh has been artificially created. Moreover, they built a temple of goddess Kali to strengthen their claim. Nepalese side termed it as an encroachment over its land. India on its part had presented administrative and tax records dating back to 1830s to back its claim, although new map after Sugauli Treaty was released on 1856, in which these regions were shown as a part of Nepal. After the 1962 border war with China, India closed the Lipulekh Pass. The people of Kumaon then used the Tinker Pass, which is another pass near the Lipulekh Pass lying in Nepal, for their trade with Tibet. In 1991, India and China agreed to reopen the Lipulekh Pass, and the trade through it steadily increased. After the Indian Prime Minister's visit to China in 2015, India and China agreed to open a trading post in Lipulekh, raising objections from Nepal. In 2015, the Nepalese Parliament objected to the agreement between India and China to trade through the Lipulekh, stating that it violates Nepal's sovereign rights over the disputed territory. China gave some optimistic statement in return to Nepal, but India did not have any response. In 2019, India issued its new political map, which showed Kalapani as a part of its own territory. The Nepal government made the claim on November 6, 2019, few days after India issued its new political map. Moreover, India had released its new political map depicting the newly created union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh on 2nd November 2019, a day after they came into existence. The new map of India shows Pakistan-occupied Kashmir as a part of the newly created union territories which are under Pakistan's control. Although the new political map also shows the Kalapani region as a part of India, but the Nepal government is clear that the area lies within its territory. Nepal stated that it was the media reports which brought its attention to the fact that Kalapani had been included in the new map of India. Recently, in 2020, India opened the constructed road through Lipulekh Pass. It was highly opposed in Nepal. The Nepalese government was under high pressure, and finally it released a new map including those areas that actually belonged to it: Lipulekh, Kalapani and Limpiyadhura as a part of Nepal. The matter exploded when it reached among the medias. Although Indian media had blamed China for the Nepalese movement, it was the continuous objection of the Nepalese people since the time of the British. The matter should be solved by a diplomatic way, otherwise it will remain a disputed area among both the countries forever. Both countries stated to have mutual talk after this corona epidemic. Nepal's foreign ministry said in a statement that during foreign secretary level joint meetings, the responsibility of resolving border disputes between India and Nepal were assigned to the foreign secretaries of both the countries in consultation with the concerned technicians. The ministry further stated that all the outstanding border issues between the two nations need to be resolved mutually, and any unilateral move was unacceptable to the Nepal government. Nepal's foreign ministry also stated that the Nepal government was committed to protect its international borders, and any border-related issue of the two friendly countries need to be resolved through diplomatic channels based on historical documents and evidences.